Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So in this video, I'll be telling you how to use a while loop and a do while loop in Java. Okay, so first of all, what is the difference between a while loop and a for loop? Because in our previous video, we learned about for loop. Or so what's the basic difference when to use a for loop and when to use a while loop? So the simple answer would be for that is whenever you want to use a for loop, the iterations would be specified. Iteration means suppose I want to run a for loop for from 1 to 10. Okay, that means it is specified that I want to run it from 1 to 10. Okay, so at that point of time you can run a for loop. But in a while loop, what happens when you want to run a while loop? So whenever in your program or in your condition there is a point of time where you want to perform a particular task n number of times. Okay, that means the iteration is not satisfied. It is not known to you that you know till when to stop. That point of time you can use a while loop. So while loop is basically a control statement. Okay, it is a control statement wherein you have to write your code. Okay, and it will execute accordingly. Fine. So what happens in while loop? So in the for loop, so the syntax of for loop is like you have to first, write inside the code I is equal to 0, then I is less than 10, suppose, and then I plus plus. Okay. So what's happening over here is you are initializing over here, then you are declaring, you are defining the condition that it should be less than 10, and then you are incrementing, right? But in while loop, what happens in case of while loop, the syntax would look something like this. So you have to start with while. Okay, you write while, and then inside this you will have your condition. Inside this bracket you'll have your condition. Suppose I write I is less than 10. Okay, so here only the condition will be there. Now when you open this while loop, okay, inside this while loop you have your body part, that is your statement, whatever statement you want to execute. Okay, and along with this you will also have the increment part right inside the while loop. Okay, that is, I can write it as I plus plus. Okay, and then the while loop is closed. Now wondering where you will initialize. Suppose I want to initialize some value. So just before the while loop, you have to just initialize it. So in while loop, what happens? First, the initialization is taking place. Okay, the initialization is not there inside the while loop. Is it? It's outside the while loop. Okay. Inside the while loop, within the brackets, you have to mention the condition. What is your condition according to your program? And then you have to mention the execution part inside the while loop, that is your body part, where you will write like system.out.println and whatever you want to print in the output. Okay, and then inside the while loop itself you'll have the incrementation. That's it. So that is how the whole while loop works. Okay, so now let me show you. So this day2, if you see this, I have created a class. Okay, I'll open this off and then we'll write a code for while loop. Okay, so I'll write a class first of all. So let's say class is day2. Okay, and inside this I'll write public static void main string args. Okay, and then as I said, if you want to work with the while loop, first you have to initialize it. Okay, so I'm taking a variable I and I want to initialize this first of all. So let's say I want to print 10 natural numbers. Basic, I'm starting with very basic. That's why I'm taking an example of 10 natural numbers in for loop as well, in while loop as well. Okay, so I write I, and then the natural numbers should start from 1, right? So I am initializing I equal to 1 in the beginning of the code. Okay, and after that I'll start my while loop. So I'll write while, and then I'll check the condition over here. So it should run from 1 to 10, right? So my condition is I is less than equal to 10. That is my condition. Okay, Now I'll open the while loop over here, and then I'll write the body part. That means what I want to execute. So here I'll write system.out.println. Okay, and here I'll just mention I because I want to print the value of I, which is starting from 1 to 10. Okay, now if you see over here, I have initialized the value that is I equal to 1. I have a condition over here in the while loop that is I is less than equal to 10, right? So what will happen here when I print the output as system.out.println I? So here in this place, so first of all, I have a variable, and then the value of that variable is 1. Okay, it gets inside the while loop. It will check whether 1 is less than 10. Yes, the condition is satisfied. It will come inside the while loop and it will print I. That means my output, the first value will be printed is I, that is 1. Okay, now here, in order to execute further, like we want to print till 10, right? So we have to use an increment over here. That means the I value should be incremented every time, right? So where to put the increment? So just after this, inside your while loop, you have to write I++. Okay, now if we try to run this, okay, execute it. So it's called as a dry run before you compile the whole code. Okay, so what's happening? We have a variable I, the value of I is 1. Okay, we have, let's say, a place wherein we are getting the output. Fine, so I value is 1, it's getting inside the while loop. It is checking the condition I is less than equal to 10. Yes, that is satisfying, so it will get into this particular while loop. Okay, and here inside the while loop it's written system.out.println I. That means I value will be printed 1. So whatever I value is, so my current I value is 1. That means my output will be 1. Okay, after this system.out.println, it will go on to the next line, which is I++. That means now the I value will be 2. Okay, so from here it will go to this while loop again and it will check I is less than equal to 10. Yes, now my I value is 2. Yes, it is less than 10. So still the condition is satisfying. Again, it will print the I value. So what is the I value? 2. That means my next output is 2. Again, it will go on to here and increment the I value. So my next I value is 3, right? So again, from here, it will go to here. So what's happening? It's like a circle in the while loop where once the condition is terminated, then only it will come out of the loop and execute your code. Until that, it will keep on rotating inside this particular circle. Okay, and it will be testing the condition, printing your body section wherein you have mentioned your code. Okay, and incrementing it side by side. Fine, so that's how the whole while loop works. Now let's try to compile this off and check it. So class compiled, no syntax error. Now let me minimize this and try to run this off. Okay, so we'll run this with the void main string args. Okay, now if you see, this is the output 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So this is the output which we got, that is 10 natural numbers we wanted to print, right? 10 natural numbers. So 1 to 10 it got printed. Okay, now what if I want, so now what if I want to go ahead and do some changes and take another example in while loop itself. So let's say over here I want to just print up to, less than 10. That means it will print from 1 to 9. It will not print from 1 to 10. It will just execute from 1 to 9 because I'm not giving an equal to sign. That means up less than 10 it will get executed. Once the I value reaches 10, it won't execute further. It will get terminated. So here if we just compile this off and if we try to check the output, here the output would be, so let me clear this off. So let's check again. Okay, now the output, if you see, the output is only till 1 to 9. Okay, so that's how you can play with the code with the while loop according to your condition of your program which you are doing. Now there is something which is called as do while loop. Okay, so what happens in do while loop? Do while, as the name suggests, means first the do condition will come and then the while condition will come. That means if I take the same code and I write over here do, okay, do means whatever body part which is there, you have to mention it inside here, inside right over here, okay, and then your while loop will come. Okay, fine. So that is how a do while loop will work. Now what is do while loop? So do while means, do means simple. In simple terms, do means execute my body part first. That means first of all it will go on with executing whatever you have written inside the system.out.println, okay, and then it will increment it, and then it will go to the condition checking part that is inside the while loop. Okay, so once this is done, so do will be doing the body part and the increment part, and then only the condition checking will be done. So it's just the reverse of the while loop. Okay, so that's how do while loop works. That means inside do you have to write the execution of your code. That means what output you want, that should be written inside the do part, and what is your condition, that should be mentioned inside your while part. Okay, now if I just try to compile this off, okay, let me check, where's the show? So this looks good. Okay, just check off the semicolons and everything, and then we'll try to compile it. Okay, now it says class compile, no syntax error. Don't forget to put public when you're writing class, and then public starting void main. Okay, so it says no syntax error. Okay, now once again, before showing you the output will be the same. In 1 to 10 will be printed. Just there is a difference when you're using a do while loop. In the do section, the body part will come up first, that is the execution which you want, that system.out.println, and after that the increment will also be done inside the do loop itself, that is this one. Okay, and then in the while loop only the condition will be checked. Okay, so now if I try to run this off, let's run this. Okay, now, okay, without clearing, if you see 1 till 10, this got printed. That's the output. Okay, now let's clear this off. Okay, so hope now it is understood how a do while works and how a while loop works. Similar way you can do it yourself. You can try it once how a while loop and a do while loop works. Okay, once again, when you want to work with a for loop, you have a specific iteration. You know how many times it wants to iterate. That means suppose it wants to iterate from 1 to 100 or 1 to 10. So see, now 1 to 100 is too much of number, so in that case you can directly use while loop over there. Okay, so whenever there is an execution where you want to increase the iteration size, which is like n numbers or like 1,000 numbers, at that point of time while loop can be used directly. Okay, so in simple terms, for loop can be used for specified function or specified work which you want, like run. We have a name or a sentence, and then inside the sentence you want to find a word or you want to find a letter. So for that, a while loop can be used. A for loop can be used. Similar way, you can use the while loop according to your condition of the program. Okay, so that's the while loop and do while loop, how it is working. Okay, now I'll show you another example using string, how a while loop is working. Okay, we saw it with the help of a data type int. okay, and the value given to it is 1. Let's say you have a string, okay, let's say my name, right? So let's say Swarna. Okay, I have a string and I now want to count out how many times the letter A is occurring in this particular string. So this is a string. We can like store it inside an str variable. So this is a string. I want to count out how many times the letter A is occurring in this particular name. Okay, so I can see clearly A occurs 2 times, right? 2 times A is coming in this name. Okay, so I have to now write a code using while loop to do the same thing. So I have to take a string and I have to hold this particular value inside that string, that is the name Swarna, and then I have to count how many times the letter A is there inside the name. Okay, and I just want to print the value. Like I just want, since it's occurring 2 times, I just want to print the number 2. Okay, so how will you do it? With the help of a while loop, I'll show you. Okay, so first we'll start off with public, let's see, this class name, and okay, I missed the class. Okay, and then underneath public static void main string. Okay, in the brackets, and then inside it. Now first of all we need to have a string, so I'll write, take a data type as string, and then inside that str. Okay, so str is a variable here. Okay, and str equal to, let's say this is the value inside that variable. Okay, now the next task is I also want to count how many times the letter A is coming inside this particular name, right? So for counting it, I'll take a variable as count and I'll just initialize it to 0. Okay. Next, I'll also take a variable I, which will iterate my loop, the while loop. Okay, these things, the initialization part is done. Now moving on to the while loop. So in the while loop, what I'll do, first of all, since we are working with a string, so first of all you have to understand the condition, how the condition will work. So here, since we are working with a string, so the length of this particular string should take, should take place in your while loop condition. That means inside my condition I can write that the I should be less than the length of that particular string, that is the names Varna, right? So here I can write str dot length. Okay, now what str.length function will do in Java, it will actually extract the length of this particular string. Okay, so whenever you're working with a string in Java, at that point of time you have to always extract the length, because you don't know the length. Like, if you're working with like I want to print from 1 to 10, like the I loop should start from 1 and it should end till 10. Okay, but over here when you're working with string, you don't know exactly where it should start and where it should end, right? So for that purpose, you can extract the length of this particular string, that is the length of this particular name. Okay, so now if you see over here in the while loop, so the I value will be running till the length of this particular string, that is the length of this particular name. That means if I tell you in numeric form, it will run till, so the index starts with 0, this is 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, and then 5. That means I less than 5. It will run till 5. Okay, now this we have done, we have written the condition. Now the main thing which we have to check off is, so yeah, so the main thing which we have to check off is So here we want to find how many times the letter A occurs in the name Swarna, right? So A is a character. So let's take a data type as char, that stands for character. I'll take a variable as C, okay? And then inside this, what I'll do, I'll just write str.char at I. Okay, that means what it is doing, it is this particular variable C is holding the character at ith position. That means it is holding all the characters over here. That is the name, the letter S, W, A, R, N, and then A. Okay, fine. Now next is, make these all small, okay, so that it don't mess up the code. Fine. So now next comes up, since we have given this, now next comes up, you have to check out if condition. If C, that is this variable C, is equal to A. Okay, that means here first of all I am storing each and every character in this particular variable. How I am storing it? I am using char at, that is character at I. That means whatever position of I is, suppose it's at 0 position, so S will be stored, then W will be stored, then A. Okay, now I'm checking, so C is storing all the characters. Now I'm checking if C is equal to A, then what we have to do, we have to increment the count, right? So we can write count plus plus. Okay, like we write I plus plus, similarly we can write count plus plus, and then after that what we have to do, we have to increment the I value as well, that is I plus plus. So this should be done outside the if condition. Okay, I plus plus. So what's happening here, first the count value will be incremented, then it will come out of the loop, and then I value will be incremented, then again it will check this particular condition, and then it will come inside this loop again. Okay, so here I plus plus, and then after this you can go for system dot out dot println, and then I want to print the value or the number, how many times A is occurring in that particular string. So I'll just print the count. Okay, that's it. Now let's try to compile this off and let's check for errors. So this was missing, so let's enter the, okay, this is an integer type. Let's compile this again. Now no syntax error. Okay, only one thing was missing which we missed out, that was we didn't mention the data type of count. Now let me do a dry run of this particular code itself, okay, before showing you the actual output. Now see, we have three variables, str, count, and I. Okay, I'll take three variables. So str, count, okay, and there is also a variable C. Okay, so I'll write count and then I and then C. Now here when it goes inside the while loop, what happens? It checks I is less than str.length. Yes, the condition satisfies, okay, because current the I value is 0, count value is also 0, and str has S, W, so this basically this thing inside it. Okay, now here it is checking while I is less than str.length. So the length here, the value is 5. Okay, that is the length of the string. Yes, I value is less than 5. Condition satisfies. It goes inside the second line. It says character, which is the data type. So char C is a variable which holds str.char at I. So what is, now it's at 0th position, so what will be the value of C? The value of C will be S. Okay, now it is checking if C is equal to A. No, it's not equal to A. That means it will not execute this if condition in the first instance. And what it will do? It will do an come out of the if, and it will do I plus plus. Now I plus plus value will become 1. Okay, Now again it will go on to this particular line, and then now I value is 1. So what is the next letter? It is W. Okay, so that means now the C value is W. So again the if condition is not satisfying. Again I value will be incremented to 2. Okay, now if you see this index is satisfying, C value is equal to A. So what will happen? The count value will increment. That means now the count value is 1. Okay. Again the I value will get incremented to 3, so it goes on to this particular index. Again the if condition will not satisfy, so now the I value will increment to 4. It will not go out to the if condition. Okay, then it will go to N. Again it is not satisfying, I value will increment to 5. Fine. Now next, the last is A. That means now yes, C has a value A again. So now it will get inside this particular if loop and the counter will be increased to 2. Okay. Now it has reached the length of this particular string. Okay. So it has reached the length of this particular string. This whole while loop will get terminated. Okay. And what it will print? It will print system.out.println count. That means 2 will be our output. Okay, so we'll compile this off. This shows no error, and then let's try to run this off. Okay, so this is our main, and if you run it, yes, this is the output, that is 2. Okay, so this is how you can use the while loop as well as the do while loop in your code with numeric data type as well as string data type. Okay, I have shown you very basic steps and also a complete dry run. Dry run is a technical term which is used in coding when you actually analyze the whole coding in real time. Okay, like how it should work, because you compile it and then you click on output, you get the output, but you don't know what is happening in the backend. So you have to understand the backend, that yes, in the backend you're getting a perfect output. Now let's see the front end how the output should. So that's how you match it. Okay, so that's the string and numeric in the while loop and do while loop.